My name is Lemmers. I'm a 3D character animator by profession. I've worked for companies like Dreamworks, Image Engine, Guerrilla Games, where I worked on Horizon Zero Dawn for PlayStation 4. I'm currently also the animation lecturer in Amsterdam, and I'll be visiting the other regions from SAE to present masterclasses in animation and help support the animation departments there whenever I can. For Horizon Zero Dawn, I was mainly concerned with combat animation, with my specialty being creatures and dinosaurs and quadruped animals. My task really was to work out pre-designed combat animations and execute those and work very closely with the combat team, with programming, AI and effects to make it work within the game. Animation for games is quite complex. It's very physical, it needs to be energetic. And nowadays, because games are evolving at a really rapid tempo, the story element is becoming more and more important. So you also need to develop acting skills on top of your mechanics. The differences between game and film animation are, in the basis of animation itself, are not that big. But as you progress through your skill level and you start to become more of an expert and you work directly for a film studio or you start to work for a bigger game company, the technology for games forces the game animator to animate differently, make different creative choices, especially to the technical side of animation versus film. In film, you're working on a shot that's part of a sequence, and within that we can cut from, you know, the character's over here and in the next shot he's over there. But in games you cannot make those cuts, for instance, because as the player will always stay on the game character. And then there's game engine issues and timing issues that really make the difference between film and games. So for instance, in film there's a lot of anticipation in the animation. You can clearly, you know, have your character anticipate and then do an action. For games, for instance, it's about gameplay responsiveness. So sometimes your animation has to be really specific to how long does it take for the button to actually signal the character within the game. I think in games there's a lot of collaboration needed regardless of whichever department. In comparison to movies, making games I feel is a far more complex procedure with a lot more difficulties within that realm. Especially when it comes to adding programmers, bringing AI into the game. There's concept artists, there's concept design, there's audio design, there's everything we do has to be made from scratch by lots of different departments, and therefore it's of the very highest essence that we communicate well with each other, because we cannot just throw random things into the game, because it will affect all the other departments as well. In the course we'll be focusing a lot on body mechanics, obviously, because games is very mechanics heavy, but we'll also be focusing on facial animation, creature animation, because also in games there's a never-ending amount of fantasy and you never know what you're going to have to animate. So learning the skills to be creative and apply that creativity in a structured way specific to game animation will really be useful. The course we're trying to create at SAE, and in this case from animators' point of view, is emphasis on collaboration It's easy for everybody to really focus on their work and get absorbed by their work. But because games is such a team effort, we want to inject that into the course right away. And we want to have a really focused course on what's required for game animation specifically, and how that fits into an animation, in a game animation pipeline, and how that works with other departments as well. Having a good understanding of that, I feel, will make a more solidified portfolio for the game animator. The demo reel and the show reel for the animator are probably the most important thing. Without it, you simply won't even get an interview. And it's worth really investing into your show reel. You don't need 50 pieces, you don't need 10 minutes of animation, but what you do need is a minute and a half of the best quality you can deliver. Without it, the doors won't even open for you, no matter which school or university you've gone to. So it's really important to realize that you get your lessons at school, and there's a program at school, and we'll give you information, but you have to do more than that. You have to invest your own time into it as well. Learn outside of the school and work outside of the school as well to get the best show reel that you can get. I choose education because I feel the industry is still very young at this level, especially the games industry. Film obviously has a longer track run, but even 3D animation in games, the field is relatively young. I also feel that I've had a lot of people help me along the way. I'm mostly self-taught, and a lot of people in the industry from when I started were self-taught. Personally, I found the people that helped me and gave me knowledge actually didn't just give me knowledge at that moment in time, but they actually gave me a lifestyle and a job and a career which I otherwise wouldn't have had. For me, I like sharing the information because I feel, you know, we're all going to be successful at different levels in our lives, but for anybody who can pick this up and have a career that's fruitful and they can maintain their family is a fantastic opportunity, and that's why I want to share it, because people shared it with me. It's a funny story, actually. For me, because I was always drawing as a kid, and I wanted to. I knew when I was 6 or 7, I already knew this is what I wanted to do. I just didn't know exactly in which direction. My first computer animation I made was on an old Atari, I think a 1024 ST, and I had this animation program on a floppy disk that couldn't save. Obviously it was pirated, but I was so happy with my animation I wanted to keep doing it, so I left my Atari on for the whole week because I was working on the animation. And then one day after dinner I came back upstairs and I smelled the burning of plastic and I killed my computer. And that was my first animation.